So, spawning in the top left position, we have the blue Zerg. Currently one game up. Went really tech-heavy game one, really aggressive. It's Revolution. And his opponent spawning in the bottom left, the red Protoss player, desperate to level out this best of 5, Spida.
The only basketball joke I could possibly think of is if we had a reference to someone who's played in like a million StarCraft 2 tournaments and never actually won anything, which I don't really think we're going to have that in the show match tonight. We can refer to them as pulling a LeBron, but that's about it. Then I'm out.
That was terrible.
That was really terrible. But to be fair, I think Naniwa and LeBron have been on about the same number of teams in search of that major victory. And Naniwa has won a few as well. So
he has.
Yeah, so it kind of falls down at that point, unfortunately.
Poor Naniwa. I was really rooting for him a DreamHack, but what I'm rooting for now is a Nexus first out of Spida. I know it's coming down. There we go. So, of course, This just means that ultimately we're going to have a bit more of a macro game, which on Whirlwind isn't a problem. It's only vertical and cross spawns available. So, obviously, no reason. I believe it is anywhere on this map. So
I thought all spawns were possible on Whirlwind, but maybe that's not necessarily true in the ESET version.
I was trying to remember. I thought the ESET version took off horizontal spawns. Oh no, it is all spawns. As
boom.
Yeah. We have magical people in our ears telling us all the fun.
That is true. So Hatchery now going to be approximately halfway done for Revolution. Nothing too ordinary happening in this game just yet. Taking his first gas at the just after 3 minutes here. No, it is going to be an extractor trick, just particularly long time before the cancel, and the Overlord here does see which spawn location Spida's at. Now, one particularly useful thing to note is that this Overlord that Revolution has sent to scout, he didn't move off of the high ground, so it's giving Spida just a little bit more work to do to scout where his opponent's at.
Of course, with a Mothership Core, it does give you a bit of fun. You can take that out later, but the important thing for Revolution is that he sees the wall off. He should know that it was a Nexus first, and therefore, it just means that you can be very safe taking this really early third base, and you don't have to worry too much.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too much of a problem for him at all, and this is really something that Spida should be expecting out of his opponent, especially since the Overlord saw the wall off, so very likely that we have, of course, that Nexus coming down really early in the game, and neither player really deviating from what we would expect at this point, Mattles, to be quite a normal game.
So, what does a normal game mean? Why don't you run us through that, Joasar? What can we be expecting in terms of ZVP when they're both macroing up and being quite passive early on?
Right, so we've got the quick 3 bases coming out of Revolution. As Overlord spotted the early expansion from Spida, that means he knows there's going to be a period of the game where he can drone up and macro as hard as he can and just be on the lookout for any sort of timing attack. So things he's going to be looking out for with his Overlord include units clumped up near the wall. If he gets to view that forge a little bit later on, he wants to see if there's going to be a +1 researching, something very useful to look for with the Overlord. And eventually, he's going to move in a little bit later to see what the choice of tech is, and in this case, it's a robotics facility even. Now, for Spida's point of view, he needs to get teched up as quickly as possible after saturating 2 base, and then he needs to think of a way, whether it's through hallucination, whether it's through getting Stargate and Phoenixes, or something else, of scouting his opponent to see if he can identify any holes in greedy play.
Now, I think the hallucination is a really good thing to touch upon because hallucinated Phoenix have become really critical in the early game scouting. You can get them off very early if you want to get some good information. But also Revolution needs to just keep doing what he's doing, and that's keeping that Overlord on the high ground and also a couple of lings just outside Spida's natural to know of any move out, because the big decision the Revolution needs to identify is this going to be a 2-base all-in, or is this just a tech up into a third? Because that's going to highly influence what Revolution does next.
Oh, and this is interesting. Okay, so here's what I was talking about earlier about scouting. This Overlord hasn't moved into the base of Spida yet to see what the tech is, and he's just blindly built a bunch of spore crawlers. I mean, They're never that bad an idea because you might get attacked by DTs. You could have oracles deciding to fly in from somewhere if you decide to proxy. And at the end of the day, this is a pretty big map, so that kind of play is possible. But had he seen the robotics facility go down a lot earlier, he would know that that isn't strictly a necessary expenditure right now. And now he sees it.
Now he does see it, and this is really the important thing. There's another Overlord coming in into the main base just to get a look at the gateway count, and of course the additional gateway is only just getting thrown down now. We see that we have already 3 on the field, 3 more on the way. That takes us up to 6 gates plus a robo. That's basically a lot of 2 base aggression. However, Revolution, he's got a Hydra Den coming down. He's got +1 missile attack. The only thing he doesn't have at the moment is a Roach Warren, and this just means that it's most likely going to be some kind of Swarm Host Hydra play, which against this sort of play out of Spida is going to be really strong.
Now this is also a good reason why I don't think the Spore Crawlers were the best idea as well. If you're going for that Hydralisk Den, a lot of Zerg players in Heart of the Swarm are now using Hydralisks to defend and zone out your opponent while you're teching up to something else. A clump of 4 or 5 Hydras behind a mineral line while you're just waiting to get up to 200 can thwart off oracles, can stop phoenixes, and with the help of an overseer can thwart DTs as well. So it makes the Spore Crawlers just a little bit redundant in this situation. But, you know, all in all, it's not a game-winning or game-losing kind of thing, but just an interesting way that he might be able to improve his play.
So this is where Revolution sees precisely what Spida has planned. 3 Immortals, a lot of sentries coming across the map. We all know what that means. It's an Immortal sentry all-in off of 2 bases. But whereas in Wings of Liberty going for Hydras would be a terrible decision, in Heart of the Swarm, getting Hydras out is a natural play. And the Hydras deal ever so effectively with both Immortals and also Gateway units. So this push is going to get shut down incredibly hard in my mind.
That's a great... Well, it will come down a little bit to positioning as well, because the number of sentries means that if he's able to force field the Hydras into range of all those Stalkers, Immortals, and DPS in this army, then Revolution could have a tough time. He's actually trying to move away. Oh, and there we go, some decent force. He's actually zoning out a lot of the lanes and picking up the Hydras one by one here. That was not the best start to an engagement. A few more force fields coming out as Lings stream in, but now we have parts of the army from Revolution attacking the entire army of Spida that was bunched up, and that's exactly the kind of engagement that Spida wanted. You're absolutely right, Maddles. This should have been crushed under ideal circumstances, but this is looking tough now.
Yeah, those force fields, brilliant, and Revolution was trying to buy himself some time in order to fall back and get more reinforcements out. But the trouble is, he's got a counterattack now. He's running across the map. He's going to sacrifice this 3rd base. The Hydra spawning there die instantly, and as the 3rd hatch goes down, it's going to be a lot of problems. Some Zergling, some Hydras picking off a pylon rather than the reinforcements, but without that 3rd, Revolution has to win now or do significant amounts of damage to stay in this game.
Yeah, this push is very, very strong out of Spida here. Revolution trying to counter with the Hydra, which I think is what he was going for in the first place before he got caught up by those force fields. Will be able to get through the front. Nice pick off there off that pylon as well, just disabling a robotics facility before anything else happens. And we really do now, pardon me, have a full-on base trade.
And this base trade is going to be made even longer by the fact that there is a mothership core out for Spida, but unfortunately it doesn't have enough energy for a photon overcharge. If it did, that would really help. But more importantly, if Spida had taken a mothership core with the ability to mass recall with his army, he'd clear out the 3rd and natural and then mass recall to his own main and be in a brilliant spot. But this is, as you quite rightly said, Jarosar, a complete base race, and as part of that, a hatchery is getting made at Spida's 3rd.
Now this... Okay, so 2 things have just happened, guys. The first is that Revolution just got into the main base of Spida. There are no more force fields left here. And that means that all the Hydras are going to go into the main. That is actually terrible, because Spida only has the main left as a mining base, and these Hydras are about to annihilate everything. The second thing that happened is that Spida sent his army back across the map before he killed off anything in the main. So the layer is still there, the Hydralisk Den is still there. I actually think Revolution might end up being okay after this, as long as he neutralizes the army here before losing his own.
And he's got to get that good engagement. He can't have force field zoning out lots of his army. But there they go.
Those force fields.